The primeval Lord, the personality of Godhead in his personal form as Narayan disappeared. Now we begin the division of the creation. Very important aspect of how Brahmaji creates. Very fascinating also. To be able to see that how Brahma creates various living entities. Vidura Uvacha Antarhite Bhagavati Brahmaloka Pitamaha Prajasasarja Katitha Dhahikir Manasir Vibhu. Sri Vidura said, O great sage, please let me know how Brahma, the grandfather of the planetary inhabitants, created the bodies of the living entities from his own body and mind after the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very interesting. How Brahma created the bodies of the living entities from his own body and mind. How many bodies he has to create? How many bodies? Very simple. Yeah, what you are thinking? Bolo Ramya.
Prabhu, the 8.4 million variety of
Yes. 8,400,000. What a service. Okay, we will see how he does that. Yachame Bhagavan Prishtas Tvayartha Bahu Vittama Tanvada Swanupurvayena Chindina Sarva Samshaya. O greatly learned one, kindly eradicate all my doubts and let me know of all that I have inquired from you from the beginning to the end. So Vidur asked all relevant questions of Maitreya because Vidur knew well that Maitreya was the right person to reply to all the points of his inquiries. One must be confident about the qualification of his teacher. One should not approach a layman for replies to specific spiritual inquiries. Such inquiries, when replied to with imaginative answers by the teachers, are a program for wasting time. Sutta uvacha evam sanchoditastena shattara kaushara vermuni prita pratyaha tan prashnan nidistan atha bhargava. Sutta Goswami said, O son of Bhrigu, the great sage Maitreya Muni, thus hearing from Vidura, felt very much enlivened. Everything was in his heart. And thus he began to reply the question one after another. What was the first verse that Shukdev Goswami spoke in 2.1.1? Anyone remembers? First verse that Shukdev Goswami speaks in Srimad Bhagavatam. We had memorized that. किसको याद है? Let me see the memory. Anyone remembers? भैया भागवतम से कोई कनेक्शन है या नहीं? बाकी संसार के कनेक्शन में ही बहुत ज्यादा डूब गए हैं. माता जी मुस्कुरा रही हैं. वो महीने में 2-4 बार दर्शन देने आती है. हाँ, वो नया मकान ले लिए, पता नहीं क्या महल ले लिए, उसी में उतना पूरा बिजी हो गई है. बोलो. देखो मत पुरुषोत्तम, देख लियो. देख लिए ना? पुस्तक है, पुस्तक में देख रहे हो और क्या कर रहे हो? किसको याद है? What is the first verse Srila Sukadeva Goswami speaks? बोलो रम्या।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am not remembering clearly.
तुमने हाथ उठाया था अभी, ये तो बात है ना।
प्रभुजी श्री सुख उवाच वर्यान् एव ते प्रश्न।
हाँ, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड। तुम्हारी मेमोरी एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी है। हाँ। श्री शुक उवाच वर्यानेश ते प्रश्न लोकहितम आत्मवितम वर्यानेश ते प्रश्न। उसके बाद क्या देखो, वर्यानेश ते प्रश्न साधु पृष्ठ 2.1.1।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी श्री सुख उवाच वर्यान् एष ते प्रश्न कृतलोकहितं नृप
हाँ,
आत्मवित् सम्मतः पुंसं श्रोत्वादिषु यः परः।
दोबारा पढ़ो, धीरे से पढ़ो। वर्यानेश ते प्रश्न निपलोक हितम, क्या है? आपके पास भागवतम नहीं है क्या? आप लोग पहले स्कंद की भाग, अच्छा अभी तो हम तीसरे स्कंद पे आ गए हैं। हाँ, अच्छा अच्छा।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी श्री सुख उवाच वर्यान् एष ते प्रश्न
कौन उवाचा?
कृतलोकहितं
शुका
नृप
उवाचा।
कृतं लोकहितं नृप
दोबारा बोलो।
कृतं लोकहितं नृप
कृतम लोक हितम नृप, है ना?
आत्मवित्
वर्यानेश ते
सम्मतः
प्रश्न
पुंसम्
आत्मविद सम्मता पुंसः।
श्रोत्वादिषु यः परः। श्रोत्वादिषु यः परः।
So he was appreciating. What I mean to say is
नहीं सुबह की थी।
he greatly appreciated the first thing that of Parikshit Maharaj. Shrotavadishu yaha pura. Yeah, this is the proper subject matter for hearing. That how Muni is responding. O son of Bhrigu, the great sage Maitreya, thus hearing, and thus he began to reply. The question he said appears to indicate a break in the discourse between Maharaj Parikshit and Sukdev Goswami. While Sukdev Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, Suta Goswami was only one member of the large audience. But Suta Goswami was speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by the sage Shaunaka, a descendant of Sukdev Goswami. This, however, does not make any substantial difference in the topics under discussion. Okay. Maitreya Uvacha Virinchoapi Tatha Chakre Divyam Varsha Satam Tapah Atmani Atmanam Aveshya Yathaha Bhagavan Aja. The word Virinchi is for Brahma. The greatly learned sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, Brahma thus engaged himself in penance for 100 celestial years, as advised by the personality of Godhead, and applied himself in devotional service. That is a very important aspect. Today I gave a class in our temple. So this was the point of Brahmaji's vision. And how Brahmaji was able to have that vision? Because of his performance of austerity. So Brahma engaged himself in the penance for 100 celestial years. This is so much appreciated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Again and again, whenever there is an account of Brahmaji, so his service of creation is polluted by his austerity, his sadhana. And this is very much acknowledged and appreciated. Here Maitreya is also appreciating. Brahma thus engaged himself in penance for 100 celestial years as advised by the personality of Godhead and applied himself in devotional service of the Lord. That Brahma engaged himself for the personality of God Narayan means that he engaged himself in the service of the Lord. That is the highest penance one can perform for any number of years. There is no retirement from such service. Prabhupada used to very emphatically say, in devotional service, there is no holiday, there is no break, or there is no retirement. Because devotional service is, what is the characteristics of devotional service? It is ahetuki and apratihata. If you are taking breaks, if you are making gaps, then you are not on the level of devotional service. See, I am again reading. There is no retirement from such service which is eternal and ever encouraging. Tadvilokabja sambhuto vayuna yad atishthita padmam ambha satatat kala pitavriyena kampita. Thereafter Brahma saw that both the lotus on which he was situated and the water on which the lotus was growing were trembling due to a strong, violent wind. The material world is called illusory because it is the place of forgetfulness and the transcendental service of the Lord. The material world is called illusory because it's a place of forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. Because we forget that we are supposed to do service. Thus, one engaged in the Lord's devotional service in the material world may sometimes be very much disturbed by awkward situations. There is a declaration of war between the two parties, the illusionary energy and the devotee. And sometimes the weak devotee falls victims to the onslaught of the powerful illusionary energy. Lord Brahma, however, was sufficiently strong by the causeless mercy of the Lord, and he could not be victimized by the material energy, although it gave him a cause for anxiety when it managed to totter the existence of his position. So there was a immediate test of Lord Brahma. Although Brahma is fully geared up to perform service, and before performing service, he performed 100 years of very severe penance. But as he began the service, there was this turbulence. Tapasahi edhamanena vidyaya cha atma samsthaya vivriddha vignano balo nyayapad vayum sambhashaha. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahma in practical knowledge, and thus he drank the wind completely along with the water. What a solution! The agitation which was being made by the wind and the water, what did Brahma do? It completely engulfed it. He drank it fully. So what he did? He dried it up. So from where the agitation came from? Lord Brahma's struggle for existence is a personal example of the continuous fight between the living entities in the material world and the illusionary energy called Maya. Beginning from Brahma down to this age, the living entities are struggling with the forces of material nature. By advanced knowledge in science and transcendental realization, one can try to control the material energy which work against our endeavors. And in the modern age, advanced material scientific knowledge and penance have played very wonderful roles in controlling the powers of the material energy. Such control of the material energy, however, can be most successfully carried out if one is a soul surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and carries out his order in the spirit of loving transcendental service. So Brahmaji was very mature. How that maturity came? Because of his performing of long austerity. And along with the austerity, he was invoked with in the heart the transcendental knowledge. Tena Brahmhide Adi Kaviyo Muhyanti Yat Suryaya. So he was not impacted. He was not impacted by the illusory forces of Maya. And Prabhupada says that the best way to be protected from Maya is to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devi Esha Gunmayi Mam Maya Durattaya Mamevaya Prapadyante Maya Metam Taranti. Tad Vilokya Vyadvyapi Pushkaram Yad Adhishtitam Anena Lokan Praglina Kalpitasya Miti Achintayat. Thereafter, he saw that the lotus on which he was situated was spread throughout the universe. And he contemplated how to create all the planets which were previously merged in the very same lotus. So how big is the lotus? It is spanning for the 14 universes. The seed of all the planets in the universe were impregnated in the lotus on which Brahma was situated. All the planets were already generated by the Lord, and all the living entities were also born in Brahma. The material world and the living entities were all already generated in seedling forms by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Brahma was to disseminate the same seedlings all over the universe. The real creation is therefore called Sarga, and the later on the manifestation by Brahma is called Visarga. So who does Sarga is Mahavishnu, and who does Visarga is Brahma. But actually, all of it is done by the Supreme Lord himself. Padma Kosham Tadavishya Bhagavad Karma Chodita Ekam Vyam Hangshid Urdha Trida Bhavyam Dva Saptadha. Thus engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the world of the lotus. And as it spread all over the universe, he divided it into 3 divisions of world and later into 14 divisions. Clear? So far, we are getting along with the creation of Brahmaji. Abhi to just the seed has started. This seed has started to be manifested. So first, what is it? That he created the 3 divisions. What are the 3 divisions? What are the 3 divisions? What are the 3 divisions Brahmaji did? Yes, Ravindra Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Priyanka?
Swarlok, Bhuvalok and Patalok.
Okay. The 3 planetary system. The upper, the middle, and the lower planetary system. Okay. And the 14 planets. And in the 3, there are 14. 7 above and below. So 14 planetary systems. And later into 14 divisions. Etavan jivalokasya samastha bheda samarita dharmasya hi animitasya vipakaha parameshtiyaso. Lord Brahma is the most exalted personality in the universe because of his causeless devotional service unto the Lord in mature transcendental knowledge. So much Brahmaji is being acknowledged and appreciated again and again because of his devotional service, his penance, and the knowledge that he received. He therefore created all the 14 planetary divisions for inhabitation by the different types of living entities. The Supreme Lord is the reservoir of all the qualities of the living entities. The conditioned soul in the material world reflect only part of those qualities, and therefore they are sometimes called pratibimba. Pratibimba, you understand? Reflection, only a reflection. Those pratibimba living entities as parts and parcels of Supreme Lord have inherited different proportions of his original qualities, and in terms of their inheritance of these qualities, they appear as different species of life and are accommodated in different planets according to the plan of Brahma. This is how he does the differentiation. Again, I am reading. They have inherited different proportions of his original qualities, which is coming from where? From their past life. Inherited. And in terms of their inheritance of these qualities, they appear as different species of life and are accommodated in different planets according to the plan of Brahma. Brahma is the creator of the three worlds, namely the lower planets called the Patal Lokas and the middle planets called the Bhur Lokas or the earthly planet, and the upper planets called the Swat Lokas. Still higher planets such as Mahar, Tapa and Brahma Loka, Satya Loka do not dissolve in the devastating water. This is because of the causeless devotional service rendered unto the Lord by their inhabitant, whose existence continues up to the end of Viprarartha time. We have discussed Prarar. So this is the second Prarar of Brahmaji. When they are generally liberated from the chain of birth and death in the material world. So this is the basic how Brahmaji goes about the creation. Further, Vidura is asking something, some questions. Vidura uvacha yatha bahurupasya harera adbhut karmana kalakhyam lakshanam brahma yatha varnaya na prabho. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, "O my lord, O greatly learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor. What are the symptoms of the eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail." This is a detour. We were going in, we were thinking now planets have been formed, and in the planets there will be different species of life. Although it is already given that species of life will be, what will be the basis of species of life? What will be the criteria? They will get the various forms. Yes, Priyanka?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. According to their desires.
No. आपने अभी क्या सुना? सुन नहीं रहे हैं आप, इसका मतलब ये परपोर्ट इतना चर्चा किया, मैंने 2 बार रिपीट भी किया. पुरुषोत्तम,
They will get from the previous inheritance.
yes, they will get it from their previous inheritance. Very important. Desire will not come out anything and everything. It will according to the inheritance to what he was in his previous life. Okay, good. Vidura inquired from Maitreya. Oh my, okay. So there is a detour. So now Vidura, instead of going ahead with the all species of life, he is inquiring about Kala. The Kala influences everyone and everything. What are the symptoms of the eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail. The complete universe is a manifestation of varieties of entities, beginning from the atoms up to the gigantic universe itself. And all is under the control of the Supreme Lord in his form of Kala, or eternal time. The controlling time has different dimensions in relation to particular physical embodiments. There is a time for atomic dissolution and the time for the universal dissolution. There is a time for the annihilation of the body of the human being, and there is a time for the annihilation of the universal body also. Growth, development, and resultant actions all depends on the time factor. Vidura wanted to know in detail the different physical manifestations of the times of annihilation. Maitri uvacha gunavyati karakaro nirvesho pratitishthita purushastad upadanam atmanam lila yashvajit. Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the interaction of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. Time is impersonal. There is no personification of the time. What is the personification of time? Kala. The impersonal time factor is the background of the material manifestations as the instrument of the Supreme Lord. It is the ingredient of assistance offered to material nature. No one knows where time began and where it ends. And it is time only which can keep a record of the creation, maintenance, and destructions of the material manifestation. This time factor is the material cause of creation and is therefore a self-expansion of the Supreme Person of the Personality of Godhead. Time is considered the impersonal feature of the Lord. The time factor is also explained by modern man in various ways. Some accept it almost as it is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, in Hebrew literature, time is accepted in the same spirit as a representation of God. It is stated therein, God who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the Father by the prophets. Metaphysically, time is distinguished as absolute and real. Absolute time is continuous and is unaffected by the speed or slowness of material things. Time is astronomically and mathematically calculated in relation to the speed, change, and life of a particular object. Factually, however, time has nothing to do with the relativities of things. Rather, everything is shaped and calculated in terms of the facility offered by time. Time is the basic measurement of the activity of our senses, and by which we calculate past, present, and future. But in factual calculation, time has no beginning and no end. Chanakya Pandit says that even a slight fraction of time cannot be purchased with millions of dollars. And therefore, even a moment of time lost without profit must be calculated as the greatest loss of life. Time is not subject to any form of psychology, nor are the moments objective realities in themselves, but they are dependent on particular experience. Therefore, Srila Jeev Goswami concludes that the time factor is intermixed with the activities, actions, and reactions of the external energy of the Lord. The external energy or material nature works under the superintendence of the time factor as the Lord himself. And that is why material nature appears to have produced so many wonderful things in the cosmic manifestation. The Bhagavad Gita 9:10 confirms the conclusion as follows. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sa Characharam Hetunane Na Kaunteya Jagadvi Parivartate Vishwam Vae Brahma Tanmatram Namastitam Vishnu Mayaya Ishwarena Parichinnam Kalena Avyakt Murtina. The cosmic manifestation is separated from the Supreme Lord as material energy by means of Kala, which is the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Lord. It is situated as the objective manifestation, the Lord under the influence of the same material energy of Vishnu. As stated previously by Narad before Vyasadeva, 1.520, Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan Ivataraha. This manifested world is the self-same personality of Godhead, but it appears to be something else beyond or besides the Lord. It appears so because of it being separated by the Lord by means of Kala. It is something like the tape-recorded voice of a person who is not separated from the recording. Please hear the example very attentively. How the force of Kal works in relation with the Supreme Lord. I was giving a perfect example. It is something like the tape-recorded voice of a person who is now separated from the recordings. As the tape recorded is situated on the tape, so the whole cosmic manifestation is situated on the material energy and appears separate from the Lord by means of Kala. The material manifestation is therefore the objective manifestation of the Supreme Lord and exhibits its impersonal feature, so much adored by impersonalist philosophers. So I'll stop here. To some extent, we have seen how Lord Brahma is going to create, rather he has begun the creation. If you have any question or query, please ask. Okay, so we will close today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Hare.